What's up, guys? Today I'm going to do the replay review of the matches that I played with Cody and uploaded to the channel yesterday. I saw a few things like instantly when I looked at it again after the premiere. Those will come up a bit more quickly. First, we're going to look at it from my perspective and see what I could have done better, and then we're going to flip it around, and we're going to look at it from Cody's perspective and see what he could have done better. And we're going to do this with the hands off for both of us. I might have to do it in separate videos because it might be too long. Yeah, I can already tell you I should have won match 1. I noticed something immediately that I could have done better, and we'll talk about that. As for other things, I haven't really looked, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into it and see how it goes. So this is the first match. If it will load. Love this. Yep. Big fan of these dueling book technical difficulties. Here we go. Okay. So, wow, it's taking its sweet time today. Okay. So we're going to just go to show hand. In order to do this from Cody's side, I'm actually going to have to find his user ID, which isn't too hard. But yeah. So first off, I started this match not knowing if he was testing zombies or frogs. I had a suspicion he was going to be playing zombies because that's what he typically plays in person. But I still played making the blind play that I would make turn 1, not knowing. So now if we know that he's playing specifically zombies. See, if he's playing frogs, this could be Duke Frog and MST, or it could be even Threatening Aurora. This is not something that is unexpected of frogs. Now we know what this is. It's kind of breaking the rules. We know what these are now, but we know what this is by the stat line anyway. So I make the play that I would have made if it were just a blind matchup, and I wasn't sure if I was playing against zombies or frogs or anything else for that matter. Like, this could literally be upstart into a Blackwing Brick, and that's Vayu Icarus. Like, the turn 1 play, we don't know if it's good or not. It's just this. So what this does is, this gets the Gruffer effect to resolve, and it gives me an Armed Wing in the graveyard, so I have Plague, I have Caius, I have Burial. I mean, this hand is really, really good. This hand shouldn't lose the game. But, first of all, okay, so he does start with a Brain Control. He Brain Controls my Grepper, I remember that much. I want to see if he had it or not, because he did a good job top decking those cards in this match. Yeah, so this play, so I don't attack because I'm like, well, if it's Turtle or Tomato, there's 4 of those and there's 2 Goblin Zombies in the typical build. So I was like, chances are I probably just shouldn't attack. It might also be a Dupe Frog. You could argue that I should attack here. And so that's the first thing that we have to really consider. So if this is a blind matchup, it's probably best to attack and just see what it is so we know what we're playing against. But we also got to consider our opponent's going to tell us what they're playing against pretty quickly if they're trying to make any progress. And if they're not trying to make any progress, we have Caius, we have Plague, we have Rhoda. We can do kind of what we want. So that's another reason I don't feel like it's very necessary to attack here. So let's just say I do attack. He, knowing his hand now, he likely searches for Plague Spreader. Because he has the Brain Control, and that just kind of makes sense to me. There's no zombies to revive with Mizuki. There's nothing good to do with a Brain Control otherwise. You would probably want to go Book of Life the Goblin, Brain the Greffer, do some stuff, So if we just don't attack, it means he can't use Book of Life, so we're not really risking this. He can't go Caius, and then he can also use Book of Life then, and he can actually hit us for a lot of damage that way. There's a lot of things we're risking by not attacking, but we're also risking that he can, that this is a turtle or tomato, which again is more likely than a goblin zombie. That will allow him to do what he wants much faster. So I feel like not attacking here is just for play. We have the Armed Wing in the grave. This is a blind matchup. We have the Armed Wing. We have the Caius. We have a Burial. We can, So, yeah. So now he brains the Greffer. And he does this. Okay, all good so far. We're obviously now not in the best position. But what he should probably do here is go for Bryanak and bounce this back row. He searches Mizuki, bounces the back row, and then Mizuki back the Plague Spreader and synchro with my Greffer. Instead, he does this very soft play where he searches for Reaper and summons it and pokes. And I don't know, I'm not sure what the point of that is. Obviously, he wants to rid a card. That's the point. But that loses to Gores really, really badly. If I just have Gores right here, then I summon in attack position. And what are you really doing? Now you have to stack for Plague to make Goyo, and you're still losing to Caius. You're still losing to Armed Wing Plague, unless you hit one of those two. But you can't hit both. Is the thing. If it's Rhoda or Gores instead of Rhoda, you can't hit both the Plague and the Caius. You're just not going to have a fun time on the next turn. So what I think you should do actually is go into Brio, discard Mizuki, bounce his back row, synchro for Greffer with my Plague. Or not synchro with Greffer and Plague for Goyo. And then just attack with the Brio and don't attack with the Goyo. Instead, this play is just really greedy, and it hands me back my Greffer, which is just not good. So here he takes the Rhoda, which is fine. I'm not really very concerned. Because he's giving me back the Warrior. I don't actually need the Rhoda because he's giving me back the Warrior. Okay, so here I top deck Storm. Okay, so he says all good to main phase 1. I was thinking, because I have 4 in hand, if I wanted to priority the Vayu, because I knew I was probably going to have to do that to make some progress. It's not the correct play because he said you're all good to go to main phase 1. It's not the correct play if we have perfect foresight like he gave us. He should not have done that because I would have probably used Burial there. Because I know that I'm going to anyway. But since he tells us that he doesn't have Dust Shoot, we get to see the information before we decide on a play. Because if this Greffer sits here, if he doesn't have a Phoenix Wing, if this Greffer sits here, then now I have discard Plague and send another, and then I can do stuff, or I can just normal the Plague and make Goyo and then discard the Caius for I can do all kinds of things if this Greffer lives. So by telling us that I don't have to use the Burial for 1, it's a huge misplay by him, but winds up not mattering because I fumble here. So this is fine. Now, this is where I should absolutely win the game. So what I do is I make a very, very stupid play where I summon Armed Wing, and I sack for Caius. And I banish the guy, and I hit for 2100. So we're going to see what the outcome of that is. Yeah, so this is a terrible play for a multitude of reasons. For one thing, it's less damage than if I were to use Plague and go into Darken, and then hit the Reaper, and then send the guy. So I'm actually losing 200 damage this way. Another thing is that the Dark End has multiple uses, so if he doesn't answer the Dark End off the top of the deck, then the Spirit Reaper is going to die next turn. He has to do something to the Dark End off the top of the deck, otherwise the Spirit Reaper is gone too. So this play is really what it gets rid of my Caius and my Armed Wing and rides on me winning with a level 8 synchro. What I should have done is go for Dark End, attack the Reaper, send the Gaia. When he draws for turn, if it doesn't deal for Dark End, then I'm fine. If it does deal for Dark End, I'm also fine because I have played Caius. Of course, he's going to rip the Caius if I do that, but I'm top decking Greffer, so I can still push for some damage. Or I can just set the Greffer because Reaper does not do very good against defense stats. But it's much less likely that he answers the Dark End than that he draws a card that doesn't. So, next turn, assuming the Dark End lives, I actually just stack for Plague, summon it back, and then like tribute the Plague for Caius, hit the Reaper, and that's lethal because he'll be at, because he goes to 5100 here, he'll be at 4900 due to the increase in damage. And then that would be 5500. That would be 5500 on the next turn. And so that would be lethal. Instead, what happens is he draws Future Fusion, sends Mally, and he has Plague in the Grave. So I'm not actually able to do anything meaningful here. Because with the draw for turn, he's going to have Mally Plague to make his own Dark End. Or I believe he makes Thought Ruler, actually. So like I just threw this game. And it's like, it's very annoying. And so like you can see, we're not even dealing with unknown information. He has no cards in hand. Like he has no cards in hand, no set cards. We're not dealing with unknown information. I just threw the game because I did a more wasteful play. I wasn't really thinking about the next turn. Like I was like, oh, I can summon Caius. Like because my original plan was, oh, I have Armed Wing of the Grave for Caius. I guess I'll just do what I originally planned to do. But with the Plague, it was just much better to make Dark End here. Here I do go into Dark End and I hit him for 21. Not only does he draw a card for Plague, he draws Stratos to search for a card, so he has an extra 1800 on board, which is actually very backbreaking here. I don't know why he makes Thought Ruler, because he knows I have Greffer in hand. And you see, I draw a Bottomless, which really sucks into this. I would love to have Bottomless with Thought Ruler. But it's not much better. I can't Bottomless the Absolute Zero when it comes out, which is coming next turn. I can't Bottomless it. Because it'll just wipe everything. So I just have to do this. He summons, and then I know that I'm drawing a Bottomless, and he's just going to attack with Stratos Scoop. So here, and then he has my Mind Control. There's no better play here than just set Raikou prison. I prison a Goblin. If he summons a Recruiter and attacks, I Raikou. It's like there's no better play here than that. But he has the Mind Control, so that's whatever. Goblin Mill is bad, I think. Yeah. Okay, so here's the question. It's obviously the Vayu. There's not even a question. So I don't really have any read on this back row. I'm not going to look at what it is. It's most likely a Phoenix Wing or maybe a Bottomless. I'm still not sure if I've seen Bottomless yet, but it's at least in their post side against Vayu. So it's going to be like a Phoenix Wing or a Bottomless. It might be a Dust Tornado. I think he plays like two of them. But I don't have any idea what this back row is. But my hand is really, really good for playing into back rows. So I decided to summon Card Trooper. And just get the damage in, because, whatever happens to the Card Trooper, I'm fine with. I have Crow for Plague, or Book of Life, and then I have, I have Greffer Plague, I can just do many things with his hand. So, it's just a safe play, I think, just summon a Card Trooper and attack, so that's what I do. He goes for Zombie Master, so Zombie Master tells me a few things outright. For one thing, it tells me that he probably already has Plague in hand. And so I'm going to be able to Crow his Plague and end the game. It also tells me that he probably doesn't have Book of Life, because he would most likely go for Plague if he did. So he either has Plague in hand or he doesn't have Book of Life. Um, he could have both. But searching Zombie Master does tell me at the very least that Plague Spreader Zombie is in rotation to some degree. He has Foolish, he has the Plague itself, a lot of things. And that's another reason I didn't want to do anything crazy with this Greffer. I don't like leaving Plague in the grave against zombies. If I'm going to send Plague to the grave, I'm going to use it that turn so it gets banished. So he goes here, and he does have Book of Life, but I crow it. And my reasoning was that I don't even. I definitely should have just held it because because the Goblin doesn't do anything, and it's very obvious that he has the Zombie Master, or that he has the Plague because he searched Zombie Master, and I guess I just really wasn't thinking about about the obvious there, and so instead of just holding the crow for Plague, I just gunned it, and I get very slightly punished. I don't actually get super. I don't even get actually super punished or anything like that. I get very slightly punished, and I think you just play that out not so greatly. Let's look at the grave here. So I really don't have anything going on. Yeah, so here I special the Greffer and I make Goyo because I'm I gotta I've gotta risk this back row, and I'm feeling this back row is Phoenix Wing, and he just doesn't have a card in hand to use. If it's bottomless, it's bottomless. I can't win the game if it is. I can't win the game if I don't try and do something. So I'm not really concerned about that, but I'm feeling like it's just nothing. I'm going to play into it like it's nothing, and I get rewarded. And then I set the hamster. Oh, I wanted to set the hamster because my logic was that Revive King was going to want to attack the Thought Ruler, and not the hamster. Maybe I'll flip the hamster next turn, but I normal the Plague. And he reminded me of that. So here the Revive King runs over, or he tributes for Caius and then does that. Here and here I just set the hamster. I mean, unless he rips another Caius off the top. I mean, his Plague's gone. He could have Return. This is MST. Which is what after nothing connected with a Goyo, I mean, and this is banished, so Return would be 100% flipped here to go for game. So this is not, yeah, so I figured this had to be something useless. He would probably also Phoenix Wing this for the record, if this were Phoenix Wing. So this back row we're now seeing as MST is just obviously nothing. So I don't feel like I'm pressured unless he literally gets Caius off the top again. I'm not worried, so I'm willing to let him just attack into this here. Pop the back row. And then I just make Catastrophe here. And he, so here I attack into Gores, because I don't care about Gores, because I have Raikou. And I have Oppression as well, to stop any return, comeback, or whatever. I also have Plague. I can Black Rose if I absolutely have to. There are actually a lot of options here. So I attack into the Gores because I don't care. Winds up being Prodigy Diva. It's interesting. And here he goes Prodigy, and I Oppression it because I don't want another Caius follow-up. And he just scoops on that. He summons. He didn't realize I was casting the Prodigy, but yeah. Here on this one, I know that he's on zombies. I probably just shouldn't do this play. But you also can't do nothing, and that's what's really difficult about this hand, because this hand wants to do something. So my logic is well, I have a Crow, I have Solemn. And I have Arma for Plague, and I can get the Plague out of my graveyard the turn that I use it. So so I just go for this play. And I was I also have another Sirocco to replace Like as long as I can let this Griffer live, and plus I have Arma for whatever PC banishes. Like I literally have ways around Book of Life here, so I was like, this hand has to do something. This hand, and I actually decided to attack because I don't want him. Because since I have Crow, since I have Solemn, I don't want him to just have a monster on board. Because I can stop anything from coming out now. If he goes Book of Life, I have Crow. Call of the Haunted, I have Crow. I just have multiple ways with the Solemn, any kind of normal summon. I just have ways to prevent it from happening. So I'm perfectly okay with attacking here. And even if it's a Recruiter and he goes into Goblin, again, I have the Solemn. I have Crow for Plague Spreader. Yeah. But he Phoenix Wings the Solemn. And here I think about crowing Vimali. And I should have thought about that, because now he just knows I have Crow. And I should have thought about that after he Phoenix Wings the Solemn, and I saw Vimali before passing the turn. Of having it already hit in turn, so he would have, but yeah. But, yeah, so there's no point really crowing Vimali. Even though I know he has Plague, because if he has Book of Life, then I'm double, I'm mega lost. So I just kind of have to let the Colossal Fighter sit here. And I draw back the Solemn. And then he Torrentials here, which is a little crazy. I guess he had no better way to deal with the Dark End. But I just... Yeah, and then here Vayu just Solemns away. And he has Return. I mean, so it doesn't... Or sorry, he Storms away. And he has Return, so it doesn't really matter what happens. I think I just scooped to it. Yeah, I just scooped to Return. Game 3 should not have happened. I should have won Game 1. And I should have... Game 2... saved the Crow for Plague Spreader. I probably should not have won Game 2 either. I should have won Game 1, and then I shouldn't have won Game 2 because I crowed the wrong thing. Knowing that he had Plague in hand because he started Zombie Master, and that I should probably hold the Crow for Plague. It was a pretty casual game. I was just playing rather quickly, but that's obviously that's not really an excuse. It's zombies. You crow the Plague Spreader, they lose the game. It was just very dumb of me to not consciously just stop myself from crowing up the Book of Life, because the Goblin on field doesn't do anything. What's the Goblin searching if there's no Plague Spreader, So I should have definitely just crowed that. So the misplay counter is at once in Game 1, one for Game 1, one for Game 2, and I'm not actually sure if I misplayed in Game 3 by not crowing the Valley, because if he has Book of Life, I'm just super lost. We can call it 2.5. I don't think I misplayed the Game 3, I just think I couldn't win it, but I shouldn't have had to play it, and there are probably some micro misplays in here as well, some just really small things. But for the most part, it's a pretty common trend in my games that I'll play perfectly for a specific sequence, and then just make some game losing misplay out of nowhere. In Game 1, I played out everything you could have asked me to, but because I summoned Kai's instead of Plague, I just threw the game. If it were chess, then you would watch the Stockfish evaluation nosedive off the cliff, because I was vastly winning in Game 1 if I had summoned Plague instead of Kai's. So here I start with it's a pretty easy Raikou set. I go for charge first, because I don't want to it's Game 1. I only have Raikous in the deck. I don't want to mill an extra Raikou and not be able to charge or whatever. Let's just go charge set Raikou. I said Oppression. The reason I said Oppression, is because if he does something like go like a Prodigy Caius, I want to be able to stop that. Like I want to be able to flip the oppression of a Prodigy. If he plays Gilman for some reason and just goes Diva, like I want to be able to just deal with that, and just save my Raikou for something better. So he has this. This is I knew this was probably going to happen. Like I'm okay with popping the Goblin because he gets off the field. Here now I have Plague in the Grave, but I can't do anything about it. But it's okay because I have Oppression. So I'm like, even though I would love to get Plague out of my grave as soon as possible against zombies with Oppression, I'm fine. Because, like, you see what happens here. Oh, he has another Goblin, which is quite unlikely for the record, but yeah. And here is, like, you don't want to, like, they can search cards as long as they don't get to have the field presence, and he already has a Goblin anyway, so it's not like I'm turning on his Book of Life for no reason. Arguably setting the return. Oh yeah. It's actually a point that I made in the video. I set both the return and the Mirror Force because it's funny. I had to read this last backer was Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, and you'll hear me say that in the video that like I want if he's going to Phoenix Wing in the end phase, I want him to either not do it or do it on one of the two new back rows, because if I set two new back rows, he's much more inclined to blind Phoenix Wing the new ones because they're probably more relevant to the game state. Even though only one of them is relevant to the game state, which is the Oppression that I want him to not hit. So I'm setting into Heavy Storm, knowing that I'm about to pop back row with Raikou, and if he has Storm, he has Storm. But like, if he's going to blind Phoenix Wing, which he's been known to do, I want him to hit one of the new back rows. I don't care which, actually. Now, obviously, I would prefer Return because the Mirror Force can be relevant, but I just don't want him to hit the Oppression, and I feel like he's more likely to blind Phoenix Wing on the end phase. A new back row if I set two new ones, but also just in general. Now, he held it. he held this, and he didn't use it on the last turn either. So he's definitely not trying to do what I want him to do, which is good. He's not playing the game I wanted to play, which means that he is faster to win it. Because if you're playing my game, you're losing, and likewise, if I were playing his game, I'd be losing. So he goes for Mizuki here. He Phoenix Link, but here he does, and that's the thing. That's what gets me. I'm not sure why he wouldn't have just gone ahead and done that if he wanted to set me back a turn of it. He obviously wanted a Mizuki discard, but I'm not really sure what the logic is, frankly, of just going after a back row set multiple turns ago that's probably relevant to the game, but that I haven't used. So I'm not sure what his read on it was, honestly. All I know is that he did use a Phoenix Wing on it, which is what I wanted, and he hit the one I wanted him to, which is nice. But if he hit the Mirror Force, it would be fine. His thought process was probably just I have a Mizuki in hand, now I can use the Phoenix Wing discard and do that was probably just his thought process, and I can't really fault that. But I am wondering why after these just haven't been used, why he thinks that one in particular, or if he just rolled the dice because he thinks all of them could be relevant. I'm not really sure why he chose that one in particular, but yeah, here I don't Oppression because the Mizuki, and I probably should, but I wanted him to go a Diva play, and then I would Oppression that, but instead he Caiuses, and he banishes the Mirror Force. He just blind banishes the back row, banishes the Mirror Force, and then I don't protect with Necro because I don't need to. I don't have anything for Greffer to discard or and I know that I'm going to be drawing back a return. But like, if he wanted to remove Vigrefford, I don't know why he didn't just target Vigrefford. Because he knew I had Necrogarden. Now, did he know that I had nothing in my hand that I wanted to protect Necrogarden, or that I wanted to protect Grefford to use? I'm not sure. I think he just forgot Necrogarden. Because this play doesn't make a lot of sense if you're trying to remove the Greffer and there's a Necrogarden in grave. It worked because I didn't need to use Necro, but I just kind of don't understand like the process here. But like, I should have just flipped Depression on the Mizuki, and then like this Caius wouldn't even be a thing. So that's, yeah. Like, I wasn't worried about the Goblin coming out because I had Oppression, but it was like the one thing that like Oppression can't deal with after the fact. So like, I should have just Oppression the Mizuki. So we're now at like 3 misplays, and he Phoenix Wings the discarding Plague. He Phoenix Wings the Armed Wing after it comes out. And now at this point in time, I'm like, okay, well, he doesn't have heavy. He would have just used Heavy Storm last turn, so he has to draw it. So I set everything. And here I Oppression the Zombie Master, and I just keep poking him with Gale. I don't care about Gores because Gale is Gale. I have Brain Control. Here, he just puts a counter like I'm going to have it, and I was actually thinking about whether or not I want to, because like I have Brain Control, so I might want to push for damage with it, and like, you know, also if I Synchro with it, then I don't need to have it. But I just let it stay halved because it's whatever, and it lets me kill it next turn. I don't double have it actually. I mean, it's in defense, so I don't need to. But also, like, it should only be halved once because I wasn't gonna have it this time. So like, so next turn I just don't double have it because I'm like, okay, whatever. I wasn't going to do that. So he just assumed, but it's okay because it doesn't really impact anything. I wound up not brain controlling it, you know. So here I just kill it, and then he just, I don't know why. I guess he only plays 1 turtle, which I'm finding out now. I've seen his build in person, but I didn't really remember every detail of it. So he just gives me the Reaper to kill. From what I can tell, he's actually out of zombies, so that makes sense. And now I draw a Solemn, so I'm like very handily winning. So here I have the Trag to 900 permanently, and I have Burial, Return, Judgment, Vayu, and I still have Necro, so like I'm completely safe. Yeah, just Solemn that. And then that's, he actually scoops, even though it's only 44, but I had Return Set. So it was actually, it actually was lethal, but I was like, why'd you scoop? It's only 44. But, he said dead cards to Oppression, which is, I mean, it's fair. Like, I mean, you know, like, Oppression kind of wins. So in that game, I think the only misplay that I made was not Oppressioning the Mizuki. For the same reason that I should obviously Oppression and Infernal Prodigy, I should have Oppression the Mizuki there, and I would have been in a much better position. But, yeah, we're gonna... So far, it's only been 1 or less per game, which is not bad. Again, we can be really super thorough on this and like go like, you know, all of these little minor things. Like, should I have used Necrogarden on the Greffer? I don't think I should have. I don't think I think it was perfectly fine that I was holding it for a better opportunity since I had the Gale and I knew that I was going to be able to clear the Caius no matter what. And I also had the Oppression. So, but you could argue like I should protect the Greffer because I can, like, if he has like Deep Prison or something, then I can normal Gale have hit with both, or if he doesn't set any back rows, I can just make Armor Master. And then Armor Master Oppression is really, really good, which I would say it's better than Gale Oppression. And and I wound up never using the Necrogardna, but like I typically am very conservative with Necrogardna because it can, if you just use it when you don't need to, it can cost you games. So I'm very conservative with Necrogardna. So like that in particular, I would say it's very possible that like Necrogardening Vigrepher was the correct play. Like saving Vigrepher, very possible that was the correct play. But knowing that I was able to deal with Vicaius, and Vicaius is going to go to 1200 no matter what happens to it, so it's just not even a threat anymore. So like, just pretty much any monster I can draw at that point runs over. I had an Armed Wing in the grave, so like, Deep Prison wasn't really a huge concern. I was definitely going to be able to, like Mirror Force is going to hit 3, it's going to hit 2. You know, it's like, so I'm either playing around like Phoenix Wing and Deep Prison or whatever, and so I have an Armed Wing in the grave, so I just felt like it's not like a huge deal. Now we're, now we get into stuff like, oh, well, what if he has Crow, and then, playing around everything all at once. And when you get to like that point, then I would say that Necroing to save Vigrepher probably correct. Like, if we want to play around absolutely, literally everything without any concern to like the future uses of Necrogardna in that matchup, because like he can actually go for it, like, if he has an answer to the oppression, he can still go for a big push. And so the question is not whether like Vigrepher is the main thing. Like, it's not really so much like, is Vigrepher worth protecting? It's like, is Vigrepher worth protecting over the permanent risk that he draws the nuts and outs the oppression? Like that's kind of what we're asking. And so I decided not to Necrogardna, because I wanted to always have it on demand to stop like a recruiter crashing into my Gale even, which he didn't do because I Necrogardna. Or just protect the Gale, like if he just goes Zombie Master attack Gale. Was this before or after the Zombie Master had already been killed? I think it was before, because I don't think oppression was flipped. But yeah. But if he had just gone like Zombie Master attack Gale, then I could have used Necrogardna. And then in main phase 2, which is probably the correct play by him of always, just go Zombie Master attack. If he's not going to use priority, just go attack. And then force the Necrogardna, and then main phase 2 use the Zombie Master effect. But he probably wanted the Gale for himself. Like I said, at some point in the future I'll do a replay review from his side and see what we could have done better, because I think all of these games are winnable from him, but I think they're also all winnable for me. It's very back and forth, and like if we were both playing very optimally, I think it's just like, I think it's possible wins for both of us. So I definitely think that he's not playing out these hands to the level that he should be. And so we're going to go over that. But I am still making some mistakes I probably shouldn't make. A lot of edge cases, like the Necrogardna thing, but then, things like the Plague and Armed Wing in Game 1 of the first match, mistakes I shouldn't be making. I think Oppression on the Mizuki is also an edge case, because, like, it's fine if he goes, like, Goblin Zombie and it's fine if he starts searching things he can't use. Like, the more of his deck resources that I burn out, the better, even. But obviously, it failed to play around Caius. So where I would always Oppression Infernal, but no, you're always Oppressioning Infernal Prodigy for a few reasons. For one thing, it actually takes a card away from him, whereas with Mizuki it doesn't. So, like, yeah, I would say I should have Oppressioned the Mizuki, and I should not have used Necrogardna. And so I made one play correctly. I didn't use Necrogardna where I didn't need to. But I should have Oppressioned Mizuki. And it wound up putting me in almost a rough spot, because he banished a Mirror Force. And so that made it very difficult to, like, stabilize. But once I did, I was fine. And I got the Oppression off for a huge plus later. Like, it took the Zombie Master and the card he discarded. Like, the Oppression went insane there, and he would not have played it. He would have actually just summoned the Zombie Master forced my Necro Gardener, and then I would have, and then if he had a trap card, I would have been on the back burner. So like, knowing that knowing that he searched for one thing, he searched Zombie Master as far as I'm aware. I recall Zombie Master getting added to his hand because I think I was like, oh, this is where he goes Zombie Master, no oppression, but it wasn't because it was where he went Mizuki and I didn't oppression. But knowing that like he searched Zombie Master, so like I knew he had Plague, so he would probably go. Or no, I didn't know he had. Sorry, I had Plague, so I didn't know he had Plague. He should have. He should have targeted my Plague for the record to player on Crow. Cody, if you're watching this, if your opponent has Plague in the graveyard, target theirs player on Crow. Anyway, and also to just generally preserve your own Plague in the graveyard. But yeah, just that. I mean, but yeah, that alone is like kind of like because I knew that at some point the oppression was going to catch a big play, and that the Goblin Zombie was not guaranteed to lead to a big play. If it did, I could oppression that, and then like if it didn't, if what happened, then I was still going to be fine. I was fully expecting him to just target McGriffer with Caius, and then I would mirror force the Caius probably. But cause maybe I wouldn't like maybe I'll just eat the 3400 and I would have a mirror force to protect Gale, but I also have a Necro Gardener for Gale. And maybe I wouldn't want to eat my whole 3400. It's very difficult to say what I would have done. I don't even remember my life points really. I think they were decent though. I think I was like probably at all 8,000 of that points, so I could probably take the 3400 and not care very much. Anyway, I'm talking too much about that game. I think oppressioning was probably correct, but very, very possible that we made the correct play and just didn't actually misplay that game. Very possible. But I do think that saving Necro Gardener was correct, even though we wound up never using it. And it's really a 50-50 of a Mizuki thing. Okay, let's go. So he goes first. He goes for Stratus or Prodigy, which is fine by me. I obviously asked for Dushu here. So set Raikou, set MST, set Prison, set I set everything. And the reason I said everything was because like, again, for the same kind of reason, like if he's going to Phoenix Wing something, he's probably going to Phoenix Wing the monster. If I said everything, and then I'm going to know like, kind of like, is there a heavy storm lurking, or maybe he targets a back row and I get to keep my Raikou. You know, but it's like, I'm just setting everything that like plays around everything. So if he goes like Goblin attack into the Raikou, I prison it. If he goes and starts doing heinous things with Diva and whatnot, I have oppression. I like, really, it just gives me a card for everything, and I'm not too worried about Heavy Storm. The reason I'm not worried about Heavy Storm is because he did set the 2 turn 1. It's kind of this trap stun, which I found out he's playing. I found out he's playing here, and I was like annoyed because I think he won this game because of it. Yeah, so I figured if he's setting 2 turn 1, either it's a Pro Storm plus like Dust Shoot, or well, it's Dust Shoot plus like a Phoenix Wing, or it's like a Phoenix Wing and a Pro Storm. Those are like the 2 main options, and he doesn't Dust Shoot me, so I'm like, okay, well, at that point, it's either Phoenix Wing and Pro Storm, or it's like 2 real traps. So if he's Phoenix Wing and Pro Storm, he's just too good. But if it's 2 real traps, then I'm fine. You know, I'm fine setting to counter that, and I don't think he's going to Pro Storm me. So it's like, so the 3 options, you know, both of the 2 options involving Dust Shoot are gone because he doesn't Dust Shoot me. So it's either Phoenix Wing plus Storm or it's 2 real traps, and I decide that it's 2 real traps. So here he trap stuns, and he does have Storm. The question is, does he draw the Storm? He drew the Storm. He drew the Storm. For a regular, he drew the Storm. But yeah. This is what it is. It was 2, well, it's kind of a real trap. It was 2 real traps. And see, and I set the oppression because, in case he has Diva. And here I mill. Ungodly. Okay, the only play here is set Necro, which is funny. It's funny for what happens afterwards. He summons Reaper. Okay. This is where I have lethal. And I said multiple times, I feel like I have lethal. So I did all these combinations where like I brain control and I summon Armed Wing and then I like summon Greffer and I summon another Armed Wing, or like I send Plague. The lethal line is to go Rhoda for Arma, send Plague, make Armed Wing, stack Brain Control for Plague, does not play around Crow, but we would do that first. We would do that. We would stack for Plague and then we would go for Armed Wing. But yeah, so it's to go Arma, Plague, Armed Wing, make Colossal, and then Vayu and Armed Wing for Armor Master. And the Colossal, he has 2 warriors, so it'll be 3,000 attack. But it only needs to be 20. If it's 2,800, it's perfect lethal. And then Burial back of the Necro, and just the Necro for safety, but we're going to kill him this turn. And make a second Armor Master, and it's 22, 22, 27. So that's 44, 71, and then 1,100 from the Armageddon Knight. And that's lethal. So I sat here for like 5 minutes, completely skipping over Colossal Fighter as an option, for the record, because he had Stardust, and I was like, oh, if I don't kill, I gotta get rid of Stardust. So I was like, oh, let's go Dark End and do that, which is what I wound up doing. And we wound up winning this game, because it's obviously very dumb what I'm about to do, regardless of having lethal. It's just obviously very dumb what I'm about to do to him. See, now here I make Dark End. And this is actually, if it had 2,800 attack, it would actually still be lethal. But it's 200 off because I made Dark End instead of Colossal. And I went through the exact same line I was supposed to go through, but I just didn't do the math with Colossal. If I'd done the math with Colossal, I would have found it, but I was like, it's not Colossal. I mean, Colossal doesn't deal with Stardust. So I was like, oh man, it's not Colossal. It was Colossal, for the record. It's always Colossal. He's the best card I've ever printed. So yeah, like I'm sitting here like doing all this mental math, but I'm in full screen mode, and it's really difficult to pull up a calculator in full screen. So I didn't actually even calculate for Colossal. And if I had of, then I would have obviously realized, oh, this is lethal. But yeah, so instead I just go for this line because I didn't want to make him wait any longer, and it was like I said, it was a pretty casual match, just casual test match, and so I wasn't like super duper concerned with whatever I was doing lethal wise, but I was trying to look for it and I missed it somehow. Even though it's the exact same line, but you make Colossal, and then if you do the math, you just go Burial and make Armor Master. Exact same line, and I just didn't do the math. And if I lost this game, I wouldn't be able to complain. But I don't lose this game for the record, because you can't lose this game. You can't lose a game where you mill Vayu Sirocco off a single Raikou. Especially not with like this. And then he just like MSCs a Burial. And I put back my things, and I think he just scoops here. Yeah, he just scoops there. That was a 2-0, I believe, right? So that's basically like, that's not even really so much a misplay. It's like when you have Maiden 1, but you also have Maiden 2, and you go for a Maiden 2, and Stockfish is like, you had Maiden 1, but you still won, so it's okay. And it doesn't like remove any points from your accuracy score, because it's like you still have Maiden however many moves and you won with it. So yeah, it's kind of like that, except like this is Yu-Gi-Oh, so there is a possibility that a clapback could have occurred, for the record. I'm not, but I had Brain Control on the top of my deck, and it's like, what are you gonna, like, I have Burial in my hand, Brain Control on the top of my deck, what are you gonna do? So, I mean, he could draw Mirror Force, but then I literally have, yeah, like, yeah, it's one of those things where I should obviously have killed him that turn, but, like, it's not even the end of the world or anything, like, it's literally going for Maiden 2 instead of Maiden 1, is exactly what it is, and so, I'm not super concerned about, like, that one in particular, but I literally went for the lethal line and just summoned the wrong synchro and didn't do the math. So like it's going to cost me one day, and I'm not okay with the fact I missed lethal. Going through the correct lethal line, for the record, I went through the correct lethal line and did not find the lethal somehow. So I'm not satisfied with that, but at the same time, I'm not really that upset because I mean I couldn't lose that game. So you know you gotta yeah you gotta think like, would you rather miss some things and win, or draw bad and lose because you can't win? Like, you know, yeah. But I should have won that turn. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that I didn't see the lethal. Zico messaged me in the Rod server. He tagged me and was like, "You had lethal here with 3 armed wings," which I don't play. But he was like, "Well, maybe you want to," and I was like, "Shut up." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't play." He's like, "I know you don't, but it might be a situation where you want to." But he was like, "But then you also have another lethal line of Colossal instead of Dark End," and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I went through that, and he was like, "Yeah." So Count Val was a misplay because I didn't lethal him, but like there wasn't a lot to misplay with that game. Like I obviously just he top decked Heavy Storm. He like but then I had Brain Control and Barrel Friend of Dimension and like pretty much just lethal on board and just like we're gonna say that I was teasing him or something. I don't know. Anyway, so here we win the die roll again. We go first. This is very obvious. We just set the hamster and set the MST. And the reason I set the MST is because I want to be able to in phase a Phoenix Wing or something so that it just doesn't set me back. There's no other play to do here. This is just. We have Armor Master. And yeah, and I do this. I believe he does drop Gores here, or I might be insane. Oh, he drops Trag here, and I'm like. And I played around Gores, because I'm like, you know, Gores is generally more terrifying. But he drops Trag. I'm not sure which is better to play around here. I do have a Raikou, and I also have a Chaos Sorcerer. So it's like, you know, whatever. But he's going to have one of the two of them. I don't think it really matters that much. I missed 600 damage this way, but I get more damage in if it's Gores, so I'm not like super concerned or anything. Then he rips Mind Control. It's lovely. And he makes Goyo and takes my hamster. So here is where one of the plays that I think is really good for me comes into play. So he has this Goyo and he has my hamster and he has a back row. I have Chaos Sorcerer and I have access to Dark End. So I go for Dark End because I'm like, if that back row is Phoenix Wing, it will force it out. If that back row is Bottomless, it will force it out. And then I drop the Chaos Sorcerer and I'm chilling. And if it does go through, if the Dark End does go through, I don't want to make Stardust to protect the Chaos Sorcerer because what if it's Phoenix Wing? You know, like the Phoenix Wing is going to stop the Dark End no matter what. So will the Bottomless. But like, Stardust is going to eat D-Prison, but it's also going to eat Phoenix Wing. Like, am I going to make Fault Ruler? Of course I'm not going to make Fault Ruler. That would be really stupid because it doesn't deal with the board at all. So I'm obviously going to go Dark End, and if the Dark End sends Vigoyo and walks, and then I get over the hamster, I just 2-for-1 with that Dark End, and I'm fine. And if it doesn't walk, now I have a Chaos Sorcerer. And if it does walk, I still have the Chaos Sorcerer in my hand to deal with something else later. So even though I was looking at this hand going like, oh, I have Chaos Sorcerer, I don't care about Goyo. Goyo's fine, I don't care about Goyo. I have Chaos Sorcerer, but I also have Dark End. And so that's what I go for. Have the Goyo just in case it doesn't go through. But it does. His back row is Dust Tornado, I think. Oh, it's Return, and it's not live yet. And now I still have the Vayu. I still have the Chaos Sorcerer. He's giving me more life points back. He goes pure. I forget what he does here. Oh, he goes for Darken Dragon. For the record, at some point in this replay, someone pointed out in the comments, he goes, Goblin searches for a pyramid trail. I don't remember if that was like in a previous game or what, or maybe it was in this one. The fact that I not only missed it in the game, but also in the replay again, if it already happened, is crazy. Because I'm mostly focusing on my plays, of course. But, like, it's kind of funny. Anyway. Okay, so this play should win me a Nobel Prize. I search for Raiko. I summon Sorcerer to banish the Hades. I make Armed Wing, and then I set the Vayu. So he flips return to get the Plague and the Hades. And he makes Red Dragon to pop what he thinks is a Raiko. Alright, now if that play wins me a Nobel Prize, this play loses it. Because he asks me, if he sets a monster, does it die? And I say yes, because it didn't attack. So, obviously what I should do, because I have another Vayu and Sirocco in the grave, as well as the Armed Wing about to go there, and the ability for me to literally just pop the Red Dragon next turn and not worry about what the back row is, because the Torrential is gone, so I only have to worry about if it's Bottomless or Phoenix Wing. Or Mirror Force. Now, Mirror Force is something that would probably make me a little wary to attack with all my resources, but I would still be popping the Red Dragon, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. Because I'm stupid, I Mirror Force it. And it's like, why would I do that? Funny enough, this is Diva, so it doesn't matter. So there's a few... So first off, I top deck Caius because I'm too good at the game. I'm obviously just very skilled, and yeah. So interestingly, I actually thought, what if I don't pop the back row? Like, what if I just sack the Raiko for Caius and hit the monster? Because if he has a back row, then that would mean he can't drop Gores on the Burn. And if he drops Gores on the Burn, I'm actually lost. I'm actually dead lost. I don't have anything. And I don't know what my draw was going to be because I can't check that in replay because he scoops here. So if this is a dark monster, dropping Gores on the Burn actually loses me the game. So I thought, like, maybe I don't. I didn't really vocalize that in the actual game. Because, you know, it feels like, oh, and you flip Raiko, pop the back row, sack Caius at the monster, you know, it's like... But, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, if he Gores burns me, I actually just lose. But I was like, yeah, he doesn't have the Gores. So, yeah. He just scoops there. This game infuriated me. This game was... Look at this opening. I have a Rhoda here, too. So I have Gruffer. And now I have Dark Arm. So I'm like, I have Gruffer, Dark Arm. I have a way to always get 3 Darks in the grave. And Dust Shoot. So I go for Gruffer. Now I attack into... Now the reason I do this is because if he has Book of Life, he can hit the Vayu all he wants. I have Dust Shoot, I have Deep Prison, and I can put the 3rd Dark back in the grave and drop Dark Arm next turn. So if he goes Book of Life, he probably actually loses himself the game if this is Goblin Zombie. Plus I have Dust Shoot to put back his conversion. So here I see Nobleman, Plague, Bottomless, Dark Armed, and Stratos. He chains Phoenix Wing to discard the Plague, which is fine. He hits the Prison, that's fine. And I put back the Stratos, obviously, because like the Dark Arm's not going to be alive anytime soon. The Bottomless, I can play my Dark Arm through Bottomless, and then Nobleman's Nobleman. It's a terrible card. It wins him the game, but it's a terrible card. So... Here I'm like, okay, so I know that's Bottomless. So the play is going to be to discard Vayu, send Plague, summon back the Plague, and put myself at 3 Darks. Prio on the Spear Reaper, he'll Bottomless, because as long as if my Dark Arm takes 2 cards, I'm fine. And then I just go Armed Wing Goyo, and everything is perfectly okay. So I do exactly that. This play wins in 1.5 billion scenarios. there are 2 cards that make this play not win. And there are 2 cards that actually make this play losing. And you're about to see what they are. So, first off, I summon back the Plague. I have to synchro of it. I can't, he has Plague in the grave, so like, a steal card means that he can do whatever he wants. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to give you 1 turn to see something. I'm going to give you exactly 1 turn to see a card. And boy did he. Because he top decks Brain, takes my Goyo, and he makes Thought Ruler. So he gains value 2300, and I'm top decking D-Prison. I draw charge for I draw charge, but he has Nobleman. And I literally tell him I'm roasting him on video because like But here's the thing: if I had seen this book before Vayu, I win the game. Because I just set book, and I normal summon Raikou. Literally, if I had seen this book the turn before I saw it, the turn before I saw Vayu, I set Vayu, I summoned Vayu, set the book, I win the game. Okay, actually, sorry, he has Kai's. I probably don't win the game, but I'm probably doing a lot better than I would be. I even tell him it's a terrible card, but never punished. Okay, so in this final game, we do the thing. We go back to only showing my hand. So he doesn't actually attack into the back row of it. He doesn't attack into the thing this time, and he just loses. He just loses because of it. Like if he attacked this Raikou and got deprisoned, then I would flip the Raikou. I would probably go like Greffer, Necro, whatever. But here he gorges me, but I have deprisoned, so I don't care. So prison this. So here I was thinking about a multitude of things. For one thing, I was thinking I have game if he doesn't have track. Because I brain control the token, I go Greffer, discard Necro, Gardener for Plague, and I make Darkened. Like that was what I was like. But if he has Tragodia, he gets the token back. I'm actually kind of in a rough spot, especially if he can put up another attacker to get rid of the Darken. He does not have Eye Reversing. Actually, wait, no. Oh no, I did go for that play, but he had Crow. That's what it was. I went for that play, but he had Crow. And so I wound up actually just attacking the monster. Because I don't really care what it is. If it's another goblin, it's whatever. He can't get anything that like deals with this. If it's goblin, because like this is a bad level. And then like if it's anything else, if it's something that gets goblin, I don't care. I have brain control. I can push through that. I have Necro Gardener for whatever. So he turns the token attack, but turns back to defense because he's like, oh, I can't do that because Necro Gardener. But I think actually what he should have done is force a Necro Gardener because I would have obviously used it. But then brain. So here I was worried about Mirror Force, so I didn't actually go for brain control lethal, and I actually just sat on this for another turn. And he manages to rip the Kai's there, which is fine. And he flips Trapstun before going into Darkened. I had Necrovat and then force him here, and then here I just, yeah. At this point I no longer care about Tragodia because I'm stealing his Darkened, and yeah. Setting the Greffer possibly a misplay because I could have used it as a dart for the other Greffer, but the other Greffer died. So never punished. But he definitely did not think it was another Greffer though. And I wanted to think it was just a Raikou or something. And that forced him to play a little more passively. Because like if he knew that I didn't have a set monster there and he was only dealing with back rows, he'd be much more inclined to like start going in. So I definitely wanted to bluff something there, either a hamster or a Raikou. I think I played this second match out pretty well, or sorry, this third match out pretty well. Like I had some misplays in the beginning, but like for one thing, in the other game where I milled Vayu Sirocco, it's hard to lose that, no matter what you do. Even though I did miss lethal, it's just hard to lose that game. And I think that was the second match anyway. This third match, I played out everything I think as well as I could. I'm honest to God, not sure if there is a single possible way that I could have played out the game 2 of this match and not lost it. Even though I had Dust Shoot Dark Arm, I don't think there was a way. Like, I knew he had Bottomless set, but like, if I had played into the Bottomless with Armed Wing first, I was turning off Dark Arm forever. Plus, if he rips Brain Control and takes my Dark Arm, it just doesn't matter. Especially if I would have Goyo on board. So like, there's just so many ways it could go wrong for me if he draws Brain Control, which he did. So like, I don't think there's any way I can play out that turn that doesn't lose to Brain Control. Goblin Zombie, that board also kind of loses to Goblin Zombie, except with the caveat that he would have to discard both the knock and the Dark Arm to clear both, or he would have to crash to the Armed Wing, which is certainly very fine by me. And then I would be drawing Deep Prison, which he either bounces for another -1 and I eat 2,300 more, or he just runs into. And then if he does bounce it, then I draw Raikou, and it's like now he can't bounce both. He's gonna lose that Brio one way or the other. And he's just gonna go super neg to do it. So like, even though Goblin Zombie would have allowed him to out the board, plus he would have had Mizuki to bring back the Goblin and like push for a little extra damage every turn. I don't think it actually would have amounted to him winning. But yeah, like, so Goblin outs the board, but it doesn't auto win like Brain Control and Mind Control do. Brain Control wins no matter what. Mind Control wins if I do what I did. It doesn't win if I play like really weirdly to only put out Dark Arm because he doesn't have enough Darks to pop the Dark Arm after he takes it. Unless he pops only the Dark Arm, but then he doesn't deal with my board. So like, there might have been a way to play around Mind Control and make it just Brain Control that I lose to, but it was Brain Control. And I don't think that anyone plays that hand out any differently. Like, you see a way to priority the Dark Armed, and then like 2-turn clock your opponent through pretty much everything, knowing that they have 2 dead cards, and that they're going to have to top deck Mirror Force to not lose. And like, you don't lose to Mirror Force, for the record. You don't lose to Mirror Force because you can choose not to attack with the Goyo or whatever. Like, you can turn the Goyo to defense, or the Armed Wing, one of the two. You can play that safely, but you cannot play around Brain Control because your opponent plays it on their turn. And yeah, so in that game, I don't think there was anything I could do to not lose to Brain Control specifically there. And he got it, and it's Yu-Gi-Oh! It is what it is. But the game 1, I definitely played the first match. I played very sloppy. I should have absolutely won that match, like 9 ways from Sunday. Like, I probably should have 3-0'd him if I'd played that match properly. The second and third matches, I definitely played much better. I also drew and milled much better than he did in those matches, which, I mean, that's what the deck does. But I don't really have that much else to say. Like, I don't think I played awfully, like not like irredeemably bad. Like, I don't think I made plays that are not at least excusable in some degree. But like, I definitely made. Let's see, not oppressing Mizuki is questionable. Not necroing the Caius attack on my Greffer is a little questionable, but I still think that's correct. The oppression's a toss up. Like, I could probably talk to James or like Ludo or just someone else who's really good with Vayu and like just kind of talk about message Hydro or something. See what they think about like oppressing the Mizuki there. And they probably would. It's like they're like, yeah, I'm oppressing a Mizuki every day of the week. But it's like, I don't think it's that cut and dry because again, he's Search Zombie Master, and I want him to like lose. I want him to lose the game. Like, I don't want him to win. I want him to lose the game. So like, I don't feel like the Goblin I don't feel like Mizuki and the Goblin wins him the game. Whereas if he goes Zombie Master into Plague and I flip Oppression, he just does lose, like on the spot. So like, it might have been greedy, but the idea was that I get more value out of it later, and like I'm just not, and like if he does go into a push with Synchro plays this turn, I have the Oppression for a Brio, and so it's like, and he gets searches that don't matter because what's he gonna do? He's used his normal summon. He can't discard the Mizuki, or sorry, he can't discard like the plague that he searched, whatever. It's like it's just really not a lot for him to do if I oppression the Brio, but it was Caius. It was Caius. So if I'd been more heads up about Caius, maybe I think longer about oppressioning Mizuki. I think that was my only ostensible misplay other than missing lethal in the second match, but I think the second match was 2-0 anyway. Third match, I don't think I really did anything wrong, but like, micro stuff. You're always making micro misplays, whether you know it or not. Like, even the best players will do it. Like, it's just like really tiny stuff that you can be super pedantic about. And it's those small percentages that really do add up over time and like make the best players the best. But like, as far as doing anything objectively wrong in the third match, I can't say that I did. It just seems it seems like this this match kind of just went my way regardless because of how the draws were. But I think I played it out pretty well. Match 1 needed some work for sure. But yeah, so this has been my side of a replay against Cody. I will at some point find out his user ID so I can flip the replay. It's not hard. It just requires a little effort, and I don't feel like it. I'll probably just ask him some replay so I don't have to dig. And I'll do it from his side, and we'll see what we do. I'm not as good with zombies as I am with Vayu, so there'll probably be things that I miss. I'll have to be a little more thorough on his side, because obviously, I don't know all the zombie lines off the top of my head. But I do know for a fact that based on what I've seen of this replay, even not looking at his hand, I most definitely could have he most definitely could have played a lot of this out better. Like, I think he had chances to win every match, and he just didn't take them. And so, it should have been a 3-0 for me because I threw game 1 of the first match. But I think that he should have won game. I think he should have won that game anyway because he had the nuts, and like he just decided not to win, and then I decided not to win, and so it wound up being that the person who was supposed to win won, just not for the right reason. But yeah, so that's been this replay review. I hope you guys enjoy. Leave some stuff in the comments if you like noticed any plays that I missed or didn't explain, or plays you disagree with me on, any kind of whatever. And I'll see you guys next time.